Yes, sir.
Yes, have some.
Yeah, welcome to it. The Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990. Online, KWAM, The Listen Live link is in the top right corner. If you prefer to watch your radio shows, you can do that now. It is Year of Our Lord 2019. And we got a YouTube channel, Nation of Jake, the YouTube channel. Go subscribe on YouTube. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Nation of Jake. On this Monday, September 23rd. 23rd of September already, first day of fall. Here we are, some showers, 78 degrees or so. The high going to get into the 80s, maybe. I mean, when you've got rain falling from the sky for the first time, any substantial rain has been in the area in weeks. It's kind of like being Andy Dufresne at the end of that sewage pipe in Shawshank when he escapes from his cell and he gets out of the end of that nasty pipe filled with some of the most foul-smelling stench you've ever smelled, Andy Dufresne. And he gets out and he just looks to the heavens and he feels the rain falling on him. That's how everybody in Memphis is right now. We're all just like, yeah, rain. But it might screw up your plans. Hey, if you got a soccer practice or anything going on outdoors. But we've really needed this rain on the first day of fall. The temperature is 10, 15 degrees cooler than it was this time last week, so I'll take it. Also today, people are really excited. Not just because of the rain that is falling outside, but also it's Bluff City Law Day. And that's right, the debut of Bluff City Law, the new NBC legal drama, will make its network debut. And they are all in on the promotion. If you watched any sports on NBC over the weekend, you watched NFL football last night, you hear Al Michaels. Is it still Al Michaels? Chris Collinsworth calling NBC games on Sunday night. They're talking about Bluff City Law. I guess the question is, will it be any good? You know, we've got all these 5 things you should know about Bluff City Law. And there's all these digital ads. We will do some speculation as to whether or not it will be any good. Really tough out there for network shows, given our environment. We can get anything on demand. You're getting all these shows, people doing stuff you've never seen before, but NBC wants to double and triple down on the legal drama. You always have that. You got legal drama, hospital drama, cop drama. There's all these archetypes of network shows, and I think the networks are at a disadvantage. We'll talk about Bluff City Law making its debut tonight. Also, maybe on Bluff City Law, they'll take on this $10 million lawsuit against Memphis. There's a $10 million lawsuit against Memphis and the Memphis Police Department over the shooting of Martavius Banks. The TBI says the cops who shot Martavius Banks turned off their body cameras, and they weren't supposed to. And the TBI report has come out, and it doesn't look good for MPD. Now, I'm not saying that the officers involved acted criminally, but there are some questions as to whether or not protocols were followed with regards to the body cameras. And remember the body cameras thing, how big of a deal this was in the aftermath of some of these police-involved shootings? Everybody agreed that body cameras are the answer. This will cut down on police shootings by 99.9%. It's all about transparency. Well, it has not really happened that way. And if you recall the rollout of the body cameras here in Shelby County, it was a complete mess and a complete disaster. We'll talk a little bit about that. Also on the program, some very depressing news. I get these stories usually from my wife. My wife wants me to be depressed. And I'll just be minding my own business, and she'll say, hey, did you hear about this? Insert depressing story. And I'll say, why'd you tell me that? I was in a great mood until now. So I'm going to balance that out with some very inspiring news to counteract, to counterbalance. It's going to be the yin and the yang of the news coming up and all the latest headlines in the news cruise. So here we are on a Monday in the Nation of Jake. We'll get over to this climate summit thing at the UN. There's this video going around. It's the one thing that's going to be in your Twitter timeline all day long is this 16-year-old girl from Sweden, Greta Thunberg. She's giving a really dramatic speech to the UN about climate change. And honestly, it's unbelievable how this girl is being exploited. It's borderline child abuse. Okay, if any, say, right-wing advocate for the free market, let's say Grover Norquist, an anti-tax crusader is Grover Norquist. Let's say he took his 15-year-old autistic son, if he had one, I'm just speculating, and had him go argue in favor of lower taxes with an impassioned speech in front of some economic summit. He would get called out for exploiting his son. Nobody is saying that about this Greta Thunberg, all right? And what it is a shield. And they throw her out there and say, ha, you can't attack a child, but there are people who will attack a child. I will not attack a child. I will criticize her parents and her handlers and anybody else who thinks it's okay to use a child as propaganda for stuff like this. We'll talk about that in a minute. That's one thing that's going on in trending. But I would like to first tackle the big story of last week, this hashtag whistleblower controversy. All right, now the best I can sum it up is that somebody with direct knowledge of a phone call between Donald Trump and the president of Ukraine claims that Donald Trump made an inappropriate promise to the president of Ukraine in exchange for the president of Ukraine investigating a political opponent, that being Joe Biden, former vice president, over his dealings with Ukraine regarding his son, Hunter Biden, and some sort of corruption. So there was some sort of scenario where Hunter Biden had some sort of investment in the Ukraine, and a prosecutor in the Ukraine was on his trail. And Joe Biden demanded that prosecutor be fired, or else he would withhold funds from the Ukraine. All right, that's the story. That this charge of corruption has been out there for a while, and that Donald Trump made an inappropriate quid pro quo arrangement with the president of Ukraine to meddle in or to try to affect the results of an upcoming election, right? So we have a whistleblower, somebody who has reported this, a whistleblower who was on the call or has direct knowledge of the call. That was the story from last week, and it kind of revved up the impeachment engine once again. However, there's more to the story over the weekend. It now comes out. The whistleblower who lodged a complaint with the intelligence community inspector general about communications between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky did not have direct knowledge about the communications, but filed a complaint anyway. This revelation was buried deep in a CNN report detailing the fallout over the alleged July 25th phone call between Trump and Zelensky. Trump had allegedly asked Zelensky multiple times to help Rudy Giuliani investigate Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden. According to CNN, the whistleblower complaint was filed on nothing more than hearsay. And this is a block quote from the CNN report. The whistleblower didn't have direct knowledge of the communications, an official briefed on the matter told CNN. Instead, the whistleblower's concerns came in part from learning information that was not obtained during the course of their work, and those details have played a role in the administration's determination that the complaint didn't fit the reporting requirements under the intelligence whistleblower law. I would have to agree. You don't get whistleblower protections for blowing somebody else's whistle. You heard rumors. You heard something that somebody else may have heard. And maybe you were putting it together with, the things you want to be true, because we see that so often. And we see news outlets, they're reporting things that they hope happens. Like, this is the end for Donald Trump. The walls are closing in. The Mueller report, the Russia investigation, the economy, there's going to be a recession. These are all things they want to happen, but they don't have any direct knowledge or evidence or proof. Going on, this revelation that the whistleblower was just repeating rumors unravels the scandal that enveloped the president last week after the Washington Post reported Trump's communications with foreign leader are part of whistleblower complaint that spurred standoff between spy chief and Congress, former officials say. I mean, that's just all, it's a very loaded headline. and loaded accusation to make over something that somebody is reporting without direct knowledge of the situation. So I don't see how this is going to go much farther. I do know that Joe Biden is not happy about this. All right, Joe Biden is not happy at all because how can you investigate this whistleblower complaint or this? You can't call him a whistleblower because they don't have a whistle to blow. I mean, think about all these conversations that the president's going to have with, say, Zelensky, Volodymyr Zelensky of the Ukraine. There's got to be a dozen people, minimum, on the line listening, taking notes, writing up memos that are transcripts of these things. So you mean to tell me all of those people aren't going to bring up any red flags about a quid pro quo in the conversation, but somebody who hears about the conversation from one of those people, they will. And that somehow, it doesn't have to fit a legal standard. Well, see, here's the thing. Joe Biden is the one who this is about. And Joe Biden does not like the idea of anybody asking any more questions about his son, Hunter Biden, and what they had going on in the Ukraine. In fact, listen to how angry Joe Biden gets when asked about the substance of the conversation.
Mr. Vice President, how many times have you ever spoken to your son about his overseas business dealings?
I've never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings.
Never.
And so how do you know?
Let's talk about, here's what I know. I know Trump deserves to be investigated. He is violating every basic norm of a president. You should be asking him the question, why is he on the phone with a foreign leader, trying to intimidate a foreign leader? If that's what happened, that appears what happened. You should be looking at Trump. Everybody looked at this, and everybody's looked at it and said there's nothing there. Ask the right questions.
Okay. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Donald Trump could say the same thing. He could say, "Hey, look, you got the Mueller report. There's nothing there." Bob Mueller said there's nothing there to investigate, or to prosecute, or else they would have prosecuted, right? Or you can't prosecute a sitting president or indict a sitting president, whatever it is. Donald Trump has been investigated a lot. Joe Biden, you have not been investigated a whole lot. No, but this comes up, and now he's making all kinds of accusations and assumptions. Oh, did he intimidate a foreign leader? It's like, well, did he? I don't think so. I mean, but that appears what's happened here. What does it? Because old Volodymyr Zelensky of the Ukraine goes, no, we had a nice conversation. There was no pressure. There was no pressure here. And then when you start talking about this whole situation where, Hunter Biden, he had some dealings in the Ukraine. There was a prosecutor there who was looking into it. And Joe Biden, he had this prosecutor fired. People are saying Donald Trump is asserting all this with no proof. Here is Ali Velshi from MSNBC with that line. And then directly after that, we have Joe Biden on tape telling the story about how he demanded a prosecutor be fired or else he wouldn't release big money to the Ukraine. Check this out.
President Trump has repeatedly suggested, without evidence, that Joe Biden used his VP position to pressure Ukraine to fire the country's top prosecutor, Viktor Shokin. All right, who's
Okay, hold on. Without evidence, but let's hear how Joe Biden tells the story.
I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
Boom. I mean, that sounds like a quid pro quo. You're not getting $1 billion. We will leave without giving you $1 billion if you don't fire the prosecutor. This is from Joe Biden's own deteriorating brain. All right, and maybe that'll work in his defense. I didn't know what I was saying. I'm an old man. But Joe Biden, he told the story right there. You're not getting $1 billion unless you fire this prosecutor. And then 6 hours later, the prosecutor was fired. Bam. I mean, he made it happen. It's on tape. He said it himself. So, I mean, this whole deal, it gets weirder and weirder. But now everybody's saying, oh, no, this just opens the door. We have to impeach him now. All right, go ahead. It's almost like I was talking to my dad this morning, and we were talking about old cartoons for some reason. And it seems like, for real, the Democrats are Wile E. Coyote trying to catch the Roadrunner. And they just, every week they order a new Acme impeachment kit. And they open it up, and it explodes in their face somehow, or it leads them off the edge of a cliff, and they start to fall. Their body falls before their head, and their neck gets real long, and they hold up a sign that says, oops, it's total Wile E. Coyote stuff. The only difference is Wile E. Coyote is a genius. That's right. Have brain, will travel. I love those business cards. So that's the latest on this whole deal. It just seems like there's something to it. It's like, people always blame you for things that they themselves are guilty of. And that's exactly what we have here. Joe Biden is the corrupt one. Joe Biden, and he gets real mad. When you confront somebody about something, they know they're guilty. Oh, they get mad and they start, oh, no, how dare you? I'm Joe Biden. I was President Obama's vice president. I'm above reproach. How dare you? Ask the right questions. So there you have it. That's the latest on that whole ordeal. We've got, Donald Trump says, I discussed Joe Biden and the corruption, but there was no quid pro quo here. I discussed it because, hey, we're not going to give money to people who are corrupt. Just like Joe Biden, we're not going to give money to people who don't do what we want, right? And Trump is doubling down now, saying, you know what? We might look at releasing the transcript. But we're not going to do it until it works in my favor. Right now, you want it. So why would I do it if you want it? I don't have to. If there's nothing in it, then what's the pressure? What's the hurry? We'll find out sooner than later. All right, coming up, it doesn't look good when the MPD gets sued for $10 million. City of Memphis getting sued for $10 million in the shooting of Martavius Banks. I'm not saying they did anything criminal, but we've got these body cameras now. You remember the old rollout with the body cameras? And here's the main problem. What good are body cameras if people can just turn them on and off as they please? I mean, there's got to be a protocol, right? What is the protocol? And do you think this guy's going to get $10 million? We will go through it next right here in the Nation of Jake.
The Mary Beth Conley Show on KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990. The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
When's the last time you looked at the windows in your house? Not through the windows, but at the windows. Really looked at them. There's dirt, streaks, buildup, smudges, fingerprints, paw prints, spider webs, dead bugs. There's little white speckles. I have no idea what they are, and who knows what else. Now, cleaning all the windows in your house makes a big difference, but it's also a big job. That's why you need Just Windows Home Services. Just Windows has been taking the pain out of window cleaning since 1992. Just Windows cleans all types of windows, storm windows, screens, skylights, interior, exterior, upstairs and down.